Hello dear listeners, welcome back to Timeless Romance Tales. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more shadowed estates, scandalous nobility, and romances that bloom where they should never exist. Now tonight's story is darker than most. It begins with a debt, one so damning a duke paid it with a woman. Let's begin. The moon hung low over Wyndham Estate, casting an eerie silver glow across the ancient stones. Inside the grand hall, servants moved nervously, whispering about the carriage arriving at midnight. Inside that carriage sat Lady Evelyn Hartwood. She was pale, trembling, and trying desperately not to show it. At 19, she had been raised in gentility, soft gowns, soft speech, soft expectations. Tonight, all softness died. The carriage door swung open, and a gloved hand reached out. Not gentle, not kind, commanding. His hand. Gabriel Thorne, Duke of Wyndham. Tall, broad-shouldered, with cold black hair and colder steel eyes. The kind of man whose presence made rooms fall silent. He did not smile. He rarely did. "Lady Evelyn," he said. "Come." She stepped out, her slippers sinking into the gravel. Where am I?" she whispered. "My estate," Dorian replied. "Where you will remain." Her heart thudded painfully. "But my father said." "Your father," Dorian cut in, voice slicing through the night, "lost £30,000 in one evening." Evelyn staggered back. "I didn't know." "No," he said softly. "You wouldn't. Men like him never tell their daughters their sins." She lifted her chin. "Why am I here, Your Grace?" Dorian looked at her, unreadable. "Because your father had nothing left to offer. Except you." Her breath left her body. "You bought me," she whispered. "No," Dorian replied. "I paid his debt. You are not a purchase, but you are the collateral." Her knees nearly buckled. "Why?" she asked, voice cracking. "What could you possibly want with me?" His gaze held her still. "You," he said simply. The servants led Evelyn to a grand chamber, far larger than any room she'd ever slept in. The fire burned warmly, but she felt no warmth. Dorian watched her from the doorway. "You will remain here," he said. "Safe. Provided for. Untouched unless you ask otherwise." She froze. "Ask what otherwise?" "A question for another night," he murmured. "You will not be harmed here." "That is my vow." "Then why bring me at all?" Her voice broke. "Why take me away from my family?" Dorian stepped closer. "Because your father owed me a debt," he said quietly. "And because you, and only you, had value enough to cover it." Tears pricked her eyes. "My value," she whispered, "is not yours to claim." Something flickered in his gaze. Not cruelty. Something else. Something darker. Something tired. "Sleep," he said. "We speak at dawn." She wanted to refuse, but her body betrayed her. She slept. Dawn found Dorian standing by the window of her chamber, staring at her as she woke. "Good morning," he said. She bolted upright. "Why are you in my room?" He folded his arms. "Because you deserve the truth." "What truth?" He hesitated, something he never did. "Your father," he finally said, "was not merely in debt. He was involved in something far worse." Evelyn swallowed. "Worse than £30,000? "Worse than ruin," Dorian said quietly. "He forged signatures. He falsified land documents. He framed another man." "Who?" she whispered. "Me." Her blood froze. Dorian continued, voice low and controlled. "He implicated me in fraud. Had I not uncovered the truth myself, I would have gone to prison. A duke in chains." Evelyn's breath caught. "My father would never." "He would," Dorian said gently. "And he did." Her chest tightened painfully. "Why?" she choked. "For money. Influence. And because he believed I would never retaliate." Evelyn whispered. "And have you?" Dorian met her gaze. "No." She blinked in shock. "I have kept his crimes buried," he said. "For your sake." Her lips parted. "Why my sake?" Dorian exhaled, looking away. "He spoke of you often. The only pure thing he'd ever created. I believed that." He stepped closer, slowly, carefully. "And I did not destroy him," he murmured, "because I could not bear the thought of destroying you." Her breath faltered. You should hate me, she whispered. I don't. Why? Dorian's reply was quiet. Because I saw you once. Years ago. At a garden fete. You were laughing. Sunlight in your hair. You walked past me and did not even know I existed. He swallowed. And I thought for the first time in years that perhaps there was still something good in this world. Evelyn's heart thudded wildly. You remembered me? She whispered. I never forgot. Days passed. Then weeks. Evelyn was no longer a prisoner. She walked the gardens. She dined with the Duke. She slept alone. He kept every boundary he promised. But his presence, his closeness, his darkness wrapped in gentleness. It haunted her. One evening she found him in the library, head bowed over correspondence. Your Grace, she whispered. He looked up surprised. Evelyn. Her stomach fluttered. He rarely said her name. I want to understand, she said. Why you didn't punish my father. Why you took me instead. Why you treat me with such care, he supplied. She nodded. He leaned back, eyes shadowed. Because I wanted you here, he said. Not as a debt. As a chance. A chance for what? She whispered. For redemption. For something I never thought I'd feel again. Her pulse raced. And what is that? He stood slowly, walking toward her. Hope. She backed into a bookshelf, breath trembling. Dorian. He stopped inches from her, his breath mingling with hers. You fear me? He asked softly. She shook her head. No. I fear what I feel. His jaw tightened. And what do you feel? She lifted her gaze, drowning in his. Safe, she whispered. I feel safe. His control shattered. He braced a hand beside her head, voice breaking. Evelyn asked me to leave. Because if you don't, I won't walk away tonight. Her breath trembled. I don't want you to leave. He inhaled sharply. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, he cupped her cheek. Then God help me, he whispered. I'm yours. Their lips met. Not softly. Not gently. With everything he'd withheld. Everything she'd feared to feel. The kiss was fire and surrender and salvation tangled into one. When he pulled back, he rested his forehead against hers. You are not my debt, he said hoarsely. You are my undoing. But the world would not let them be. One morning, Evelyn received a letter from her mother. She opened it, and the floor dropped from beneath her. Evelyn, your father has disappeared. Wycliffe is threatening to expose our name. Come home at once. Mother. Evelyn rushed to Dorian. My father is missing. And Lord Wycliffe. Dorian's expression darkened instantly. Wycliffe, he growled, is the man your father owed before me. Her stomach twisted. Dorian, she whispered. What if he hurts him? Dorian stepped closer, voice turning to steel. He won't. Because he will have to go through me. Her eyes filled. Why are you doing all of this for me? He cupped her face. Because the night you arrived, terrified and trembling, I swore something silently. What? She whispered. That no harm will ever touch you. Not while I draw breath. Dorian found Lord Wycliffe that same night. Their confrontation was brutal. Words were weapons, threats were blades. When Dorian returned to Evelyn, bruised and bleeding, she ran to him. Dorian. He caught her in his arms, shaking. It's over, he whispered. Your father is safe. Wycliffe will never threaten you again. She sobbed into his chest. What did you give him? She whispered. Dorian pressed a kiss into her hair. Nothing of yours. Nothing of mine. Only a warning. She pulled back. You fought for me. I always will. She touched his cheek gently. You're bleeding. And you, he whispered, are worth every drop. The next morning, Dorian stood in her chamber doorway. You are free, he said softly. Your father's debt is gone. You may leave Wyndham Estate whenever you wish. Evelyn stared at him. And if I wished to stay? Dorian froze. His voice came out rough, disbelieving. Evelyn. What are you saying? She walked to him slowly. I'm saying, she whispered, that I love the man who saved me. The man who protected me. The man who never touched me until I asked. Tears burned behind Dorian's eyes, a sight no one had ever witnessed. You love me, he whispered. Yes, she said. Not because of the debt, but because of the bond we built in its ashes. He cupped her face, voice breaking. Evelyn, you were never payment. You were the price I paid to feel alive again. She smiled softly. And now? He kissed her forehead. Now you are everything. Their wedding was small and quiet, scandalous at first, whispered about endlessly. But every whisper died the moment people saw them together. The Duke who vowed never to love. The lady given to him as a debt, bound not by blackmail or obligation, but by a love forged in darkness, and lit by the gentlest flame. Evelyn became not his payment, but his purpose, and Dorian became the man she had always hoped existed somewhere in the world.